So what really were the issues with Manchester United in the Manchester Derby? Is it really just Ruben Amorim and his 3-4-3 system? Or are the players once again crumbling under the weight of expectation? And surely recruitment also plays a huge role in this situation, right? I think Bruno Fernandes honestly said the perfect thing right here to sum it all up.
No, it's not hard. You have to look at what you did well, and obviously it's not enough because you want to win football games and not seeing positives from the game.
You guys should know me by now. I always try to look beyond what's trending, beyond what gets you clicks and views on social media. I always try to be level-headed and optimistic in my approach, even through United playing as terribly as they are. It's funny because somebody in my last video commented that they didn't want to listen to what I had to say because I'll try to find a positive from it. And I can't lie, that made me laugh. Look, the truth is, I'm seeing a lot of people judge and criticize Ruben Amorim and his system, primarily the system. And while I will say he's not free of any criticism at all, when are we going to take a serious look at these players? I mean, the execution in the final third was so poor. And against a City team who, no matter what form they're in, they're still a world-class side. United were able to create space and get in behind and get themselves into spaces where they could create good goal-scoring opportunities. Yet when they actually got into the final third, they just wet the bed completely. Now, I can't sit here and say that it's a tactical issue because the tactics and the system got them into those positions. It's what the players do when they actually get into the final third that makes all the difference. And decision making is so important in any professional sport, just life in general. So I feel for Amorim when 9 times out of 10, these players don't even make the right decisions consistently. Now, I really encourage you guys to rewatch the game with no bias and just look at the way that we play. Look at the patterns of play. Look at how we were able to get in behind Manchester City and exploit the space that they left. And then look at the way we finished those chances. Look at the decision making and the crucial moments. And you come back and tell me what you think. Or better yet, let me just show you. So here we can actually see Manchester United doing a good job of bypassing Manchester City's press. In this picture, you can see Erling Haaland is aggressively pressing Altay Bayındır. So Bayındır makes a good choice to get the ball quickly out of his feet. First thought that came to mind was he's going to probably try and pass it to Lenioro, but he gets the ball into De Ligt, who really has no time to react or think in this moment, makes the split decision to take a risk and play a pass-splitting ball through the lines. And it gets to Amad Diallo. So this is a high-risk, high-reward situation that the system itself presents. It's exactly what Ruben Amorim wants us to do when we build up the back. Be a little more risk-taking. Against a team like Manchester City who are always going to press and always going to be dynamic, we should be taking risks like this to try and bypass this press, get them into a situation where now their midfield is extremely open. This is what everybody complains about Manchester United in our system. Our midfield is overran. Our midfield is this. This is exactly what happened to us against West Ham in preseason. The exact same thing. But Amad Diallo finds himself in this position. You would think the way Amad Diallo plays, he would drive into the space. For some reason, he tries to play a ball and loses possession. And this is the issue with Manchester United. This is the problem. This is exactly why we aren't able to get into high quality positions, because the decision making lacks when it matters the most. And this is always going to separate you from the top teams. This is an example of Manchester United doing a really good job of playing their way out of a tight position. Look how many numbers are around the 4 Manchester United players who will be involved in this clip. It's about 5, 6, 7 Manchester City players. They're really committing to this press, trying to win the ball back high up the pitch for Manchester United. And I credit Ruben Amorim for this because we've really raised our technical floor. I've said this time and time again. We've raised the bar and what it means to be technical here at Manchester United. Because all 4 of these players are good in these tight spaces, able to get off these quick one-time passes that gets us into space, that completely bypasses City's press. These are good actions. You can't sit here and tell me these aren't good actions, especially from a team that is considered widely average. This is what Ruben Amorim wants from the system. He wants quick technical passes. He wants to create those triangles to force the opposition to press, and we get into situations like this where we have players who are technical enough to do it. But from this position, you would really expect Mbumo to do much better. We give the ball away cheaply so many times. It's so frustrating. This is another situation where we're in a tight space, we're in a tight area, and Manchester United do good to make something out of this situation. Bruno Fernandes gets the ball. He's surrounded by 4 Manchester City players. 4. And the technical genius of Bruno Fernandes allows him to make this pass into Mbeumo. The touch is positive, the body language is nice. And from this position, you would expect Mbeumo to do something, have a little bit more composure, maybe cut in on his left and take a shot. But he tries to cross it and it goes nowhere. I mean, that is the story of the game, the story of the season so far, where we get into good positions and people say we don't create enough high quality chances. This is the reason. This is the reason. It's either we get into these spaces and we whiff at the last moment, or players get into good goal scoring positions and get good goal scoring opportunities and they fluff their lines. I mean, what can the 3-4-3 system or Amorim do in those situations? Yes, Amorim is supposed to help his players in situations where the talent, the formation isn't enough. He's supposed to tweak things and change things. But when you get into good positions, there's no amount of tactics, there's no amount of tweaking things in that situation that'll change the way a player decides to approach something. And if the approach is wrong, we're not going to score. We're going to waste chances like we do. Again, this is a good example of Manchester United in their build-up phase with De Ligt getting the ball. Manchester City's shape is typical. It's their 4-3-3. They're making sure that they're pressing, making sure that we're not having enough time on the ball. De Ligt does a good job of finding Masraoui out wide. And look at the space that he has. He has a lot of space now to make a decision. He has time to look up and find a pass. And what does he do? He finds the most positive pass possible. Šeško is making that darting run in behind space. If you can notice, Gvardiol checks over his shoulder and still cannot track the run fully of Šeško. And this is honestly a reason why Ruben Amorim started him in the game, making sure he can get in behind, test the defense. This is a situation where Man United didn't do this enough. But even still, we get into a position like this, the ball is played through to Benjamin Šeško. The touch is poor. The touch is poor. If the touch is just a tad better, he gets himself into a position where he's set, where he's comfortable to take the ball in stride. Here, he's stretching. He's trying to get to the ball as quickly as possible. And even though this got called back for a handball, which clearly it wasn't because it hit his shoulder, if he had been a little more composed, if the touch was good and he put it in the back of the net, that goes to VAR. Now we're back in the game. Now the momentum swings back in our favor. So it's just moments like these that are just frustrating. The final quality in the end lacks. Now, if that was Erling Haaland, you're not going to sit here and tell me that touch wouldn't be perfect and his body position and his body language wouldn't be set up to put that into the back of the net. Now, would you? Now, this chance I want to show you actually occurred in the second half, 1 minute into the second half, mind you. And this was the beginning of a good 5 or 6 minutes where Manchester United actually pinned City back and were just aggressive and on the front foot and advancing into enemy territory. A situation where Bruno Fernandes receives the ball deep and uses his vision, quick decision making, good vision, good range to find Masraoui in open space. And now that Masraoui is in tons of space once again, the same situation from the first half where we're in tons of space and Masraoui takes a positive touch, looking to see what his options are. There aren't too many options ahead of him, so he has to look diagonal. He has to look to Amad Diallo, who, credit to him, one touch, boom, the ball is into Patrick Dorgu. Now, I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, how can you make your team run through Patrick Dorgu? And in this game, Dorgu's crossing was poor. In this situation that he's in right now, your only option as a wingback, a fullback, whatever, is to play this ball low, hard, and fast across the face of the 6-yard box. You're hoping for a deflection. You're hoping for anything. You're hoping for a tap-in. You're hoping for anything. But instead, this dude tries to play it into an area for a cutback. I mean, this is the reason why I don't really understand why we let go of Højlund. It's moments like this where the strikers make the right runs, the decision-making and the end product lacks, and we suffer as a result of it. Now, these next few examples I'm about to show you are just a few of the good pressing actions I saw throughout the first half. It wasn't just the first 10 to 15 minutes like everybody claims. Throughout the first half, we were able to press Manchester City effectively, forcing them to turn the ball over. Like I said in the examples I showed you previously, and honestly in some I'll show you now, what we do with the ball after that point is our biggest downfall. And like I said, it can't really be blamed on the tactics. The players make the decisions at the end of the day. Let me show you what I mean. Essentially, in this situation, it's a long ball that's been played into Šeško. He nods the ball down, and now Bernardo Silva has the opportunity to retain possession. He doesn't do a good job of doing that in time, which is unlike him because he is so tidy in possession. And it's because Patrick Dorgu is quick to jump and be aggressive. These are the pressing actions we saw in preseason. And I know Ruben Amorim likes to tweak his pressing actions based on whatever team he's playing, but this is good. This is what we wanted to see. And even the commentary team acknowledged that Manchester United were doing a great job of pressing early on in this match. It didn't just stop there, though. Dorgu wins the free kick. We get into a good position to have a set piece. This is a situation where Man United are actually coming back, getting into their defensive shape quickly. And what I like about this is it reminded me a lot of preseason, where United defend in this compact shape and force City to go out wide. But the second they play their ball out wide, our inside 10 is triggering that press. He's starting it. As soon as the ball gets played into the right back Kusanov, Mbumo's sprinting on him. He's not giving him a moment to get the ball and settle. And this is honestly what I think we missed a little bit with Cunha. If we had Cunha and Mbumo in this game, those pressing actions would have forced Manchester City into giving away the ball a lot more than they already did in this game. And not just obviously his defensive actions. Going forward, Cunha would have been immense. But even Mason Mount, the way that Mason Mount comes back to support, the way that Mason Mount just works hard, his work rate is undeniable. The amount of times he gets injured, though, kind of just doesn't really make that matter because he's never available. But if he was available in this game, I think his pressing and just his overall influence would have been much needed. This is another situation where we see Manchester United aggressive in the press. And I think the players in multiple situations in this game, the press was unified. There were times where there was a bit of indecision and it kind of created those gaps that we would see. But I think for the most part, in the first half especially, the players were on it, especially Manu Ugarte. Here in this situation, Reinders gets the ball. Ugarte doesn't give him a moment. He doesn't give him a chance to breathe. And now there's no outlet for Reinders. There's nowhere for him to go. And he has to play a pretty terrible ball into nowhere. And we retain possession. That's what Ruben Amorim wants to see. That is a direct product of the system. I'm not sitting here making the system seem like it's this god tier system and formation. But when the players actually do the basics, when the players actually do what they've been tasked to do, we retain possession, we get the ball back, and then we can spring into life. The problem is, like I said, the end product in this game, and not just this game, but since the start of the season has just been bad. Now, this is one of those situations where we win the ball back in a good position. Bruno actually does well to hold his tongue. It looked like he was going to play a pass into an obvious interception, but he does well, keeps his composure, and finds Dorgu out wide. And in this position, I'm not necessarily saying that Dorgu's decision here was bad. Playing the cross into the box was not a bad decision. I just think, honestly, realistically, playing the ball down the line into Mbumo first time would have probably given us a higher percentage look at goal than crossing the ball into Amad Diallo. Because in this situation, Dorgu's cross was inaccurate and it gave Amad Diallo a less percentage of actually getting a good shot on target. That move was broken down. I'm not sitting here saying that his decision was bad per se. I just think in that moment, if we make a better decision by playing it down the line, we can at least retain possession a little longer. Make Manchester City think a little bit, ask them a lot of questions. But here we put a hopeful ball into the box. And like I said, it's not the wrong decision because you have Šeško in the box. You have people crashing into the box. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that one. You guys let me know in the comments. I just feel like playing that pass on the line to Mbumo was the smarter choice. Obviously, creating chances and getting yourselves into these positions to create chances means nothing if you don't actually take your chances. And Manchester City did their utmost best to show us how to take their chances. Now, before I show you the goals and just the comical ways we conceded, I want to show you a couple of things that frustrated me. And by a couple of things, I really mean our poor utilization from set pieces, especially set pieces, in really good areas. It doesn't make sense to me that we have players like Bruno and Mbumo who are able to put in good set piece deliveries, and they can't even beat the first man. They can't even get the ball into the box properly. Bruno Fernandes, from this situation, just plays the ball straight into the keeper. How are we wasting opportunities like this? These are good opportunities. You don't always have to score from open play. I know that's been our biggest concern this season is scoring from open play. But when you have an opportunity to score from a set piece in a good position, I mean, we have to make the most of these chances if we're not going to score from another avenue. And this is a frustrating thing. And I'm not understanding why our players just can't even get the ball past the first man majority of the times on these set pieces. Now, there's something I want to point out that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and it's the fact that Manchester City's first two goals came completely against the run of play. The first goal we conceded came after Manchester United had a period of good sustained pressure, getting themselves into Manchester City's territory, advancing in on the enemy, making it difficult for them to actually create many chances. I will say from the first shot that Manchester City had in the game, which wasn't on target, it was around 16, 22nd of the game. From that point up until their goal, they didn't even challenge Bayern once. And that is a problem for Manchester United, to be able to go from having these moments where you can not dominate per se, but you can get more opportunities in the opponent's box. And yet you're still struggling to not concede silly goals. I mean, the first goal, we can talk about it all day. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But how does Luke Shaw get beat so easily? It doesn't really matter to me that Doku finds that space in behind our midfield. Manchester City are a world-class team. No matter what form they're in, they're going to be able to find space. They did it in this game. They did it against Brighton. They did it against Spurs. They were able to find a lot of space. They just didn't finish their chances. But in this game, they were clinical. They took their opportunities. They really did. This was their first shot on target. And by the time Jeremy Doku gets back into the box, we've already talked about it. But that amount of players in the Man United box, and they're all looking at the ball, this is a fundamental problem we've had since before Ruben Amorim. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is at fault here because he doesn't track the runner. It's his responsibility to track Phil Foden in this position. He's too attracted to the ball. He's not a defensive midfielder, so this side of the game isn't really, it's not his comfort zone. And that's why I think he should have played further up in this one. We should have played either Menu or Casemiro, somebody who has the actual experience of being a defensive-minded player who can spot this danger before, it happens. Obviously, we should have signed a midfielder in the summer as well, but at this point, it doesn't matter. We're talking about game-by-game basis. This shouldn't be happening. Bruno Fernandes shouldn't get caught ball watching to concede 2 goals so far in the season. Emile Smith-Rowe and now Phil Foden. He's losing midfield runners. Like, this is your direct mark. You can't lose that. And the fact that we have all of these players in the box just makes it look even worse. It doesn't look good from a Manchester United perspective. Even when you go to the second goal, it's a similar situation where how, as a professional organization, as a professional footballing team with top professionals, how do you get undone? By simple basics in football. Lenny Euro should never be allowing Doku on that side. He should never be getting beat in that fashion. But Luke Shaw and De Ligt, talk. Have some actual communication. Your center back partners, all 3 of our center backs got completely done by a couple of passes and a simple run in behind. You know that Erling Haaland is physical and he's quick and he loves to play off the shoulder of the last defender. If Luke Shaw, an experienced defender who has played for the national team, if Luke Shaw is experienced as he says he is, why isn't he compensating for his lack of pace? Why not use a better decision making to realize and recognize, okay, Haaland is going to make this run into space. I need to make it before he does. Make it hard for him to actually get a good shot off on target. Instead, De Ligt has no idea that Haaland is really behind him because he's ball watching, trying to make sure that Doku isn't a threat. And the ball gets played in behind because Luke Shaw is too late to react. He's too slow. He's too slow. And honestly, this moment right here foreshadowed everything for me when it came to Luke Shaw. This summarizes Luke Shaw in a nutshell. Getting the ball in this position, running at your player, running at your teammate, basically giving him nowhere to go, and then just playing the ball out of bounds. There's no reason why Luke Shaw should be at the club. There's no reason why Maguire should be at the club. We have players who are just not the standard level quality to be at this footballing club. Yet somehow they escape the criticism, and Amorim is getting all of the blame. These are things that shouldn't be happening in any footballing side. Doesn't matter what level. These are basics. These are basics. And then I don't even want to talk a lot about the third goal because it's actually ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they can find themselves in that position. The pass into Luke Shaw wasn't great. Fine. But Luke Shaw, like I said, a professional, experienced England international. Open your body up. Take a positive touch. Luke Shaw is so negative in his approach half the time. He's not looking forward. He's looking just to be safe and comfortable. But in this system, you kind of have to take a risk. Don't take a bad risk. Try and take a calculated one. At least lose the ball higher up the pitch, not in the middle of the field where we're really exposed in this situation. Because in this situation, he takes a bad touch and plays a hospital pass back to Maguire. And Maguire, in this situation, I know he's a bit off balance. He's struggling trying to get to the ball because Haaland is bearing down on him. Bro, just boot it into the stands. Don't try and make a Hollywood pass. Just boot it. This is the problem we have. The mentality, the decision making. It's all flawed. It is all flawed. It doesn't matter what system you play if you have players who make these decisions. I'm just being honest. A lot of these players lack the concentration needed to play in a high level. Doesn't matter what system. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 10. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. And this is the issue that a lot of people are just failing to see. A lot of people are failing to see it. You think this is going to be any different if we play in a 4? If Maguire and Luke Shaw are playing like this, you think it's going to be any different? We could make the same mistakes in any formation, in any system. I'm not excusing Amorim at all. I'm just saying that let go of this system talk. Let go of it. Just let go. It's too easy to nitpick that when in reality, the players are not living up to the expectations. Not all of them. There are some of them who are just dragging the players who actually want to do good. They're dragging them down. The mistakes we're making are unacceptable. Point blank, period. Even in this situation, how is it that we end up in this position? I mean, that's embarrassing. And that's the problem that we currently face. And that's what needs solving ASAP. It's just better mentality. Seriously, all of these goals tell me that the mentality is just super weak. Super, super weak. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what manager you bring in, doesn't matter what system he plays, doesn't matter what philosophy he has. If the players are going to keep making silly mistakes like this, we're not going to win games. We're not. We're going to keep throwing away results. We're going to keep losing in embarrassing fashion. Because, quite honestly, the players, some of them are embarrassing. Some of them play like they've never been here before. And that's not acceptable. The thing is, though, this was never supposed to be a quick fix. This was always going to take time. I mean, people are complaining that Amorim didn't get all the players in he wanted. I mean, duh. We're not going to get a whole new 11 in one window. It's going to take time. But look, at the same time, I'll be honest and say, Ruben Amorim, you are also to be blamed in certain situations. Your system and your philosophy make sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is sometimes the application or the use of the pieces that you have. In this game, and in honestly every big game, you should know, especially if you don't have Cunha or Mount, don't play Bruno as an 8. Don't limit his ability throughout the whole course of the match just to fit your ideals. I feel like in this situation, in a game like this, it would have been much better for us to have a naturally defensive-minded player play there and have Bruno higher up the pitch. I know a lot of people have said it. I said it in my video as soon as the game was over. But I said it in my preview as well. And people were saying, no, how could you move Bruno to the 10? He's playing well in the center. This is a big game. This is against one of the best teams in the world. Don't limit your team and your squad just because you want to fit your ideal. Like, that's where you have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible. Amad Diallo should have never started as a left 10. He should have started as a right wing back. As soon as he was switched to right wing back, he took on Nico O'Reilly and was cooking him. He was actually getting past his man, getting us further up the pitch using our wings. And that's exactly what the system tries to do. But Masraoui wasn't doing that. Masraoui was playing those balls in behind. So it's like, tweak it a little bit. There are ways to solve this. You know, and he has to try and implement these things and not always play the same way against every team. It's just not going to work against every team. And I'm not saying that he has to abandon his philosophy of playing 3 at the back. Just tweak it so that you have sometimes during certain phases of the game, tell one of your 10s to drop into midfield and make a midfield 3 to just try and contain and be solid and compact and frustrate. Force your opponent to throw more bodies forward and then counter in a shape that gives you the best opportunity to score. I'm not sitting here saying that in these examples that I showed you that the 3-4-3 didn't make good potential opportunities to score. I'm just saying, if you tweak it here and there, if you give your players the best opportunity to play to their best ability, we'll get more from this. Obviously, the individual errors have to go if we want to win, period. We squandered a lot of good opportunities to get into good goal-scoring positions. And then on top of that, we make mistakes that demoralizes the team. It makes it so that it's an uphill battle and the players become nervous and rush their attempts. They rush their opportunities. And that needs to stop. Amorim, you have to hold yourself accountable. I know you want to be this, stubborn guy and you want to prove that this is the way that you think we should play. And I don't doubt it. But at some point, you have to understand, if something isn't working, you tweak it, you fix it. Doesn't mean you have to completely dissolve it and move to something new. Just tweak it. See how those changes affect the way the game plays out. You don't always want to be reactionary. You want to be proactive. You want to force the other manager into making a decision that could play into your hands. Please, stop being stubborn. And to the players, work harder. You're professionals making a great living, and you're playing like you've never done this before. Play better. Simple as. Stop making silly mistakes. Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire shouldn't be here, but the fact that you are here, cut it out. Cut out the amateur level defending. If they can't cut it, then Amorim might have to just start playing the youngsters, who will probably give more fight and will try and implement the basics better than these guys will. I mean, there's a fundamental problem that goes beyond just Manchester United's tactics and the coach. Obviously, years of poor transfer recruitment has led us to this point, and we're stuck with some players who just aren't good enough and cannot cut it. But at the end of the day, Ruben Amorim, you have to adapt. Simple as be flexible. Be flexible. Stop playing Bruno Fernandes as an 8 in big games. I know it worked against Arsenal, but look, let's be real. You had Cunha and you had Mount and you had Mbumo. If you don't have 2 out of the 3, play Bruno as a 10. It'll give us much more stability moving forward. You can play somebody like Mainu, who came on and did a great job. Please, be flexible. Stop trying to be stubborn. Stop trying to do this the hard way, because it was already hard in the first place. Try and make things a little easier. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're new here and you like the video, comment and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Thanks for watching. God bless. Have a wonderful day.